What's up, guys? Welcome back to What If Deku was the reincarnation of Arnos voldigoad. Now, like I said in the last video, this is being recorded earlier, mainly because I don't have the time to do it at a later time period. I am sorry about that. But, hey, we're here, and we can discuss about how to, well, not discuss, what am I? Guys, I am sorry, I have sleepy brain. My bad, guys. My bad. Okay, before we jump into this, I do want to say thank you to Keen MJ for the thumbnail. Once again, I want to shout him out and say thanks. And now let's jump straight into this What If. Part 2. Part 2 of this What If. Yeah, I speak. Okay. Deep breaths. Sorry. Izuku woke up the next morning. He decided that it was time to get out of his bed. He had been relatively lazy recently and decided to sleep. He got up and prepared to go to class. He was wearing his casual wear, which was a white and blue suit. He ended up walking towards the room itself. He walked in there. He saw that there was a multitude of different people and eventually found Uraraka sitting there. He ended up sitting next to Uraraka once again. Good morning, Izuku. Hello, Uraraka. So, you ready to start learning class today? Yes, I heard we'll be learning magic. Psh. Izuku kind of laughed at this, because magic to him was a very simple and relatively easy thing with little to no issues. But he knew that some people were going to need assistance on magic. One of his best allies needed assistance on magic, so Izuku had figured that maybe it was a trait that might have been passed down to people later on. The class started. The teacher walked in. The teacher was a man. The man was wearing a red and black uniform, much similar to the heroic family students. Izuku, still annoyed by the idea, already found a slight distaste towards the man, but didn't say much about it. Hello, I'm Aizawa. As you can see here, you all have gone into this class by your own efforts. You all will have to make a team. We'll be doing some simpler things after learning some magic, and a team is the simplest way to get it done. You must find a leader and join up under the leader itself, and form a team. That's all. That's your first assignment. Izuku sighed at this and asked Uraraka, Hey, Uraraka, would you like to be on my team? Yes, I would. Deku told Uraraka thank you, as he went up to go register his team to Aizawa, being him and Uraraka. Sir, you're wearing a white uniform, aren't you? That means you're from a non-heroic family. You need to have a heroic family member as the team leader. Why do I need to do that? Obviously, for a multitude of reasons, heroic families tend to be better at everything than non-heroic family students. So, grouping under a heroic student to be the leader is obviously the best decision for almost anyone. Izuku said, So, all I have to do is prove that I'm better than a heroic student and I can lead? Yes, if that's your goal. Eventually, a girl walked over and started talking with Uraraka. This girl wore a red and black uniform. She seemed to have a taller disposition and black hair. Izuku walked up there and started chatting and heard them chatting. I can't believe you, a trash doll like you, got into this school. Izuku heard this and instantaneously felt slightly ticked off. He had counted Uraraka as a friend and an ally, so hearing someone call his friend/ally a doll was very upsetting to him. He saw the woman talking to him, and he's like, "Hello, who might you be to talk down to my subordinate?" This caught Uraraka and the girl off guard. "Oh, hello, I'm Momo Yaruozu. Heroic family. Huh. Say, Momo, you called her a doll, and why is that?" "She's a doll, lifeless, no life, and is useless for anything else other than her main objective purpose." Izuku instantaneously started to feel even more annoyed at this woman who was standing before him, acting the way she did to his friend. So he's like, "Well then, obviously if that's how you think, then you're no intelligent at all when it comes to magic, are you?" Yarurozu was caught off greatly by this. She was known as being a very effective magic user. She was like, "What was that? Obviously you must not be very talented or understanding at all." "You insolent fool. You really think I'm going to sit there and let you tell me that?" "Well, obviously you are, so I would definitely bet so." Well, it seems, Uraraka, that you had found a, useful companion. How about we settle this on a battlefield?" Fair. If you win, you can do whatever you want to me, and I'll leave the school even. But if I win, you have to serve underneath me as a subordinate." "Psh, fine. I won't see any issue with serving under you if you can actually defeat me. Your abilities are probably only subpar at best, probably worse than even that doll's over there." She then walked away from them and walked towards a group of males, all wearing red and black uniforms. Izuku asked Uraraka what was that all about, and Uraraka ended up stating, "Well, you see, she is a family friend." "A family friend, and why is she calling you a doll?" "You see, our families are kind of at a loss. Well, my family is. We're heavily in debt to them, so much so that I kind of work for them, almost kind of like property." Izuku instantaneously started to feel disgust at the situation that he was hearing. Another human basically being called property just because they were in, another demon being called property just because they're in debt. Disgusting. Worse than anything else that he'd ever heard before. He was ready to destroy them in tomorrow's match. No, destroy them was too nice. He was ready to murder them in cold blood. But Izuku saw himself as a generous and benevolent man, so he decided against murder and will just beat them horribly. Easily, too. Izuku and Uraraka ended up going to his house that night for dinner. After going to his house, he ended up meeting up with his mother. His mother was shocked that Izuku had brought a girl to his house. A girl? "Izuku, you're too young to marry." Ah! I can't do a girl voice. I'm sorry, guys. Izuku sighed at this and said, "Okasan, I am not marrying Uraraka. Uraraka is a classmate, a friend of mine. We need to discuss tactics for tomorrow's competition." "Oh, okay. Well, then, I presume she'll be eating with us?" "Yes, she will. Thank you for your consideration." "No issue, Izuku. Happy to help. Come with me. We'll be preparing for the match in my room. It shouldn't be too hard. And actually, likewise, it should be relatively easy." Uraraka ended up following Izuku into his room. As he started to pull out a map of the area where they're going to be battling, Izuku pointed out key points. He said, "I'll go attack them solo. I want you to set up a castle there. That castle will be where you want to defend. They won't be able to even attack you, so you don't have to worry about a head-on confrontation. They'll probably set up a castle all the way over here. It's the best vantage point, and they'll probably try to take it. We're gonna let them have it. I'm gonna move forward here. They'll probably put up spells allowing them to nullify magic use on the castle itself. Luckily, my pure brute strength alone should be able to lift it up without an issue at all, Izuku said with a slight smile on his face. And then he said, oh, and here, this area right here, you see, where they probably set up the castle, they probably don't know this, but that whole entire hill there is actually semi-hollow. There was a mining area that had happened earlier. That area there will be a great location if I ever need to actually knock down the entire fortress rather than just throwing it like I plan to. Uraraka understood everything that Izuku was saying and realized that, yeah, he could probably easily take out most of the opponents that they'll have to face tomorrow. But then she said, but I feel like I'll be being useless in this battle. No, you're not being useless. You're doing the most important job. You're holding down the fort. All I'm doing is running in, well, for lack of a better word, guns blazing and attacking. I see. Okay. I understand. Let's do this. I agree. So, now that we have a plan worked out, let's go eat some dinner. Izuku smiled towards Uraraka. They ended up eating a sort of casserole style dish. Uraraka then left shortly after. Izuku went to his house and quickly went to bed, preparing himself for the next day. He woke up and found Uraraka. They both moved out to the field, preparing. They ended up meeting up with Yaoyorozu and her whole gang. It was Yaoyorozu and 5 men on the opposing team. Izuku didn't care though. He knew he could easily defeat all of them if he had to. Worst case scenario, sorry got that guys. Worst case scenario, he'll just draw his sword and attack. Even though no one has ever seen me draw my sword, I'll draw it just in case of worse. I'll have it prepared just in case of worse. The match began. Izuku instantaneously disappeared, causing Uraraka to kind of slightly freak out as she used her magic to start producing a castle to help defend the area. Izuku ended up appearing right in front of the opposing castles, which shocked everyone over there on the opposing sides. They eventually started guarding up defenses and preparing for Izuku's attack, being pretty snarky in their approach, believing that Izuku can't even touch their defenses, much less their castle thanks to the magic shield. But they were shocked to see Izuku's hand just pass straight through it. They wondered what Izuku had done, but before they could even say anything, Izuku had picked up the castle and chucked it like it was some sort of paper airplane through the air, sending it flying. Eventually, Yaoyorozu came over the mic that they had set up and said, "What was that? How were you able to chuck our castle using magic? We had anti-magic shields and everything." "Simple enough," Izuku responded. "I didn't use magic." This shocked Yaoyorozu, but didn't care. She called upon everyone to prepare to start using a magical spell, a strong fire-type spell, to blow away Izuku with everything they got. If what he said was true, then he would be able to easily not only take out them, but everyone else. They all started to prepare for the spell. Multiple of them started to chant light, smaller fire spells, while the other ones started to chant more heavier ones. Eventually, it all started to converge on Yaoyorozu, who was controlling 5 different spell circles at once. Izuku was kind of impressed by this and let them finish off their spell. Eventually, by the end of it, a giant tank-like structure appeared, being made out of pure fire energy, magical energy, and shot a single fired bullet directly towards Izuku. Izuku smiled, seeing that they were able to actually pull off this spell, and decided to reward them by shooting a small, weak fire-based attack. When the 2 attacks collided, a giant explosion had happened, but Izuku's fire attack broke through the explosion even more and went directly towards them, causing a massive explosion afterwards. Izuku then went over there and captured all of them, rounding them up, leaving them defenseless. Izuku smiled at this as he called Uraraka over. Uraraka came over and saw Izuku had already taken them all out. She smiled at this and thanked Izuku for all of his help. Izuku said that it was not even an issue, and that she would have done the same for him if the situation was in reverse. Uraraka smiled at Izuku's claims, knowing that they were now friends. Yaoyorozu was so stunned at the moment that she couldn't even believe it. She knew she couldn't go back on her word, though. Going back on her word was a fate worse than death. So she sucked it up and decided that she would help accompany the man that had easily taken her out and her whole entire fleet of other people. Izuku's was claimed the victor and was placed as the leader of his team, with Yaoyorozu and Uraraka being his two allies. Izuku then went back to his house, this time with Yaoyorozu and Uraraka in tow. His mother couldn't even believe it that he brought home 2 girls now. He's having 2 wives? Honey, he's having 2 wives! Oh my god, my boy. I only brought home 1, but you're bringing home 2? And one's from a heroic family as well? I can't believe it. I'm so proud of you. Father, mother, I am repeating this only one final time. They are not my wives. I am not getting married to either of them, so far as the story will play rude. Now, please do understand this. Oh, okay. Izuku sighed at this situation that was going on as he prepared to eat. They had a similar casserole to last night, but rather than the main ingredient being mushrooms, this time it was a nice hearty steak. And it was drizzled in a nice warm gravy, with mashed potatoes and green beans served on the side. Afterwards, Izuku started walking home, Uraraka as well as Yaoyorozu. He dropped off Yaoyorozu first, which she left with just a smile on her face. She was weirdly happy to be serving a man that defeated her. It was a very weird predicament that Izuku really didn't understand as much. Eventually, he got to dropping off Uraraka, and Uraraka smiled as well, thanking Izuku for all the help, also giving him a light kiss on the cheek before running inside to her house. Izuku smiled before walking back to his house, and that's where we're going to leave it off for this video. If you guys liked it, hit the like button. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, goodbye.